This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, we highlight the Step Up for Autism Fun Walk, which is coming Saturday, September 28th, beginning at 9 in the morning at the location from which we broadcast Share the Vision today, 200 Dunham Avenue, the Resource Center's administrative offices just outside Celeron. Many guests. You'll learn more about this walk, about autism, services offered at the Resource Center for people on the autism spectrum, and what it's like to be the parent of a child on the spectrum, all coming up in the next half hour. We begin with Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director at the Resource Center. Steve, thank you for helping to set up what's going to be a very interesting program today.
Well, thanks for coming down, Dennis.
This annual event has generated more and more enthusiasm, more and more participation in the few years that it has happened.
Absolutely. It's an awesome event. And we started 3 years ago, so this is our fourth annual, and it was really driven by parents in Chautauqua County who have children with a diagnosis of autism, and they wanted services here in Chautauqua County, services to teach socialization skills, and there wasn't anything in Chautauqua County at that time, so people were having to go to Buffalo or Erie to get that. And so the Resource Center started our Success Program, which Marcia's going to talk about here in a little bit. And to help fund that program, we started the Step Up for Autism celebration, because it's more than just a walk. We have some games and children's activities, and so we're doing some other fun things this year that Tess will be talking about. And we have some prize drawings and some auctions and our famous cake auction. So it's a great day to celebrate people who have autism in their families, to raise some awareness and hopefully raise some dollars and have some fun while we're doing it.
Let us do this just before Tess Kersner gets on with us. And you mentioned Marcia Restivo. She's Operations Program Manager. She will be on in just a few minutes, as well as some parents of children who are on the autism spectrum. But Steve, some basic information. People can go to the internet right now, start following along with the presentation we're going to make here. We're going to a particular website. www.stepupforautism.com. We'll have some information about the event. The event itself takes place Saturday, September 28th from 9 to 1. Registration is going to start at 9. We'll get the walk started about 10:15. And then lunch and all the fun activities will be going on from roughly 11 to 1 once everybody gets back from the walk. There's also a phone number you can call, 661-1057. Steve, I'll catch up with you for some more Resource Center news at the end of the program, but I want Tess Kersner to come up here right now, Director of Children's Services at the Resource Center. Tess, welcome back to Share the Vision.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
We are going to cover a lot of ground in the next few minutes here, so let us begin with a description of the walking part of Step Up for Autism. It's a gentle, pleasant fundraising walk.
Sure, it sure is. And this year we hope to have it bigger and better. We've got Marty's Bubblegum Machine out of Warren, PA. He is a interactive music show for kids. We have the Bounce House Chautauqua with Lauren Nieder-Miller. It's a big air-inflated place for kids to have fun and safe fun. We have Harvey the Balloon Man. He makes these very unique balloon figures for kids. We've got face painting going on. Of course, Steve mentioned the Chinese auction and our famous cake auction featuring cakes from bakeries in Chautauqua County. We have an awareness table, information booth on success and SIB shop, and we have books on autism. There's going to be food and a whole lot more, and if you cannot make the walk, you can also call in a pledge on that day at the same number Steve gave you, 661-1057.
So this is really more than a walk. It's a whole festival.
Yeah, we like to look at it that way. It's a celebration, and we want to raise awareness for families in Chautauqua. It's a safe place for them to bring their kids, and their kids can be who they are without being judged or looked down upon.
And the walk part of this, which starts at 10:30, is a mile and a half. It runs from your building into the village and back out again?
Correct. It runs from the Dunham Ave address all the way down to the Lucy Ball Park and come back. It's a very short walk. It takes generally about 20 to 30 minutes tops.
And the way you raise funds, aside from the different events that you have going here, is people pledge to walk or get people to pledge for them?
Yes, we have people that can pledge individually or collect pledges on their pledge form. We also are hoping that schools will participate and get a team together and show their school spirit for support of autism and awareness.
Is there a specific amount that you would like to see raised this year? Will you be grateful for whatever you can get?
We are grateful for any funding that we receive because it goes right back into the community. It goes into our programs and our support.
I see on your flyer here that a $20 entry fee will get people a T-shirt and lunch if they participate in the walk. That's a pretty good deal.
I would say so. I think that's the going rate for just most any type of walk or race that's in Chautauqua County.
StepUpForAutism.com or 661-1057 next week when the staff is back in here at the Resource Center as we are broadcasting this on Saturday. I see you have before you some essential information about autism and the autism spectrum, and this will help set up the next part of our program when some parents will join us. What's some of the essential detail and information about autism and how it occurs, how often it occurs?
Sure, Dennis. I'll go quickly with this. First of all, autism spectrum disorders are a group of developmental disabilities that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges. We know that 1 in 88 children have been identified through the CDC with autism spectrum disorder, and that's raised. Back in 2000, it was 1 in 150, and now in 2008, the stat was 1 in 88. With boys, its prevalent is even higher, 5 times higher. 1 in 54 boys will be diagnosed with autism at some point. And the disabilities range from a mild disability such as speech and language impairments to serious developmental disabilities such as intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, and of course, autism. And some of the risk factors, if you're an identical twin, if one child has ASD, then the other child will be affected at 36 to 95%. Parents who have a child with autism spectrum has a 2% to 18% chance of having a second child who is also going to be affected. And about 10% of children with autism are identified as Down syndrome, Fragile X, and other genetic and chromosomal disorders. The majority, 62% of our children identified that have been identified with autism did not have intellectual disabilities. These are the kids that fall into another category called Asperger's. They have a high intellect, and then sometimes they don't qualify for services because of their intellect, but yet they really need some social skills training, and Marcia's going to talk about that shortly. And diagnosing can be done as early as age 2. It's been reliable and valid and stable. To get them diagnosed early, the earlier the better. We have also noticed that the parents will definitely notice a concern. Usually at 1 year old, they can tell that there's something going on by the child's first birthday. And the economic cost in 2005, the average annual medical cost for Medicaid-enrolled children were about $10,700 per child, which was 6 times higher cost for children without autism spectrum disorder.
A couple of questions. You, as the Director of Children's Services, are obviously very engaged with families who have young children who are being diagnosed as on the autism spectrum or have been. But this is something that can affect people at all stages of their lives. If we were to identify people in the community who are on the autism spectrum, we would find people in a wide variety of age ranges.
Yeah, that's right, Dennis. And, one of the things that I'd like to bring awareness to the community is that there's a lot of people that are not touched by autism. And because they're not touched by autism by knowing a family member or relative, they don't understand autism spectrum disorders. And so a lot of the parents that do have children with autism, they're out there in the community with their child, and the community who's unaware of what autism is look badly upon the parents or their children because they're behavioral problems or because they have quirks or that they're misbehaving, when that's not it at all. It's a neurological disorder.
One other point, and then we'll move to the parents who have joined us in the room here today. The other thing that I have learned from you and others over time that's a little tricky about the autism spectrum is that the expression of autism can vary so much from person to person, age to age, that it's not as though like a broken wrist where you can see that someone has a cast on their wrist and it's obvious that that's the problem. This is just sort of the opposite in that being on the autism spectrum can have expression in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's right, Dennis. And I think, talking with the parents, you'll see what those differences are within their own children. And because they do look like typical kids, typical developing kids in some cases, they really struggle with language, communication, how to be social, how to connect with other people. They just don't have that skill.
We're going to spend a few minutes with each of the parents in the room with us, beginning with a friend, someone who's made a number of appearances on Share the Vision in the past, Julie McCarthy. Julie, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
You are deeply committed to the Resource Center. You're a member of the board of directors here.
Yes, I am, Dennis.
And you have a child on the autism spectrum.
My son Andrew is a young adult. He's 23 years old, so it's not just children. This is something that affects everyone of all ages. And as you said, there is no quick fix. It's like that broken arm that was going to get healed. There is no healing per se. It's something you live with every day.
So once a child or a person has been diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum, they remain there. There is treatment. There are services available. Marcia Restivo will talk about some of them here through the Resource Center in a few minutes. But this is something that person, you as a loving family member, will be coping with forever.
Yes, it is. It is a lifelong, family-changing thing that does occur. And one thing that we've wanted to do with our walk is we want to raise awareness and creating friendships. Because I remember with Andrew, he because he does have Asperger's, he had a hard time making friends. I mean, he was regular high school, graduated. He graduated from college. He holds down a part-time job. He's just a wonderful young man. But creating friendships and being accepted by his community has always been somewhat of an issue, but it's getting better, and it's because our community is more aware, and we're starting at such a young age. And this walk that we're doing, the success program that Marcia is going to be talking about, is something that Andrew was part of, the very first group that went through.
What is it like? And this is the pivotal question that we want to have you answer and our listeners come to an understanding of. What is it like to have a child on the autism spectrum?
Dennis, Andrew actually has led us. When Andrew was first diagnosed at 12, as I said, he led the way because he looked at us and he says, "Mom, so we know what I have, but it doesn't have me. I'm still a person. I still have my quirks. I still, and he has led us, and he's led this journey, and the journey of, trying to be accepted and make people aware that it's not bad parenting, that it's not some evil thing to have autism spectrum disorder, that, he's a very intelligent individual, and because of his abilities, he's a writer. He loves writing stories. He's written several articles for the Resource Center. He's even on writing.com. He's even had been published. He's on lulu.com, Monster Cowboys. That's one of his things that he enjoys doing, and he's got a part-time job at Trucklight. He's really making the most of it.
What about what you have seen in terms of community acceptance for him? And you mentioned that one of the important aspects of the Step Up for Autism event here on the 28th is raising awareness of the community, considering all of his abilities. Has the community responded appropriately to him? Has it put you in difficult parenting situations sometimes?
Well, I remember when he was little, and we were out on a soccer field, and we had parents looking at us like, why can't you control your child? Why, it's just, once again, bad parenting, and them not understanding that Andrew had autism spectrum. To now, where there is more awareness, you still get the raised eyebrows, you still get the, why can't that mom or dad control their kid? But like Andrew's always said, he says, "Mom, why do I have to keep changing? Why can't the community change and understand me better?"
What are the things that you would like to have the community do? What should we know, particularly in the case of Andrew? How would this unfold for you and him you and he in an ideal world?
In an ideal world, he would have friends. He would be part of the social community. He would have people that want to get to know Andrew and actually go out with him, actually go to the movies, call him up, be friends, be part of his life, not just because they work with him, but because they want to get to know Andrew as a person and develop a social relationship with Andrew and with any other young adult child. I mean, this is, you start out as a kid and then you grow up. And as anybody would like to develop relationships, there's families, there's history down there. And, you know, Andrew, like any other person, wants to be part of their community and have families of their own.
Julie McCarthy, thank you for your words. I want to move to make the best use of time to Crystal Peelman, who is joining us on the program today. Hello, Crystal.
Hi, Dennis.
Thank you for taking the time to join us again on this broadcast to promote the Step Up for Autism event on the 28th here at the Resource Center's administrative offices in Jamestown, just opposite Celeron on Dunham Avenue. You have a child on the autism spectrum.
Yes, I do.
His name?
Mason. He's 6.
And tell us a little bit about, we've spoken on this program in the past about Mason, so summarize your experience with him and how he's doing today.
Oh, Mason's doing well. He's in a special ed class, goes to school year-round, has a couple weeks off in the summer. Definitely has helped having him in school, and he's gaining a lot of skills and some verbal skills, and definitely coming along.
What then? And again, this is the crucial question for the community as we attempt to raise awareness about autism and talk about this event coming on the 28th to this place. What is it like to be a parent of a child on the autism spectrum?
It's amazing. It's crazy. It's every kind of emotion you could ever imagine. Sometimes you feel left out, definitely. People don't understand. They look at you and think you're doing something wrong while your kid's screaming and thrashing around and you're just trying to get them from one place to the next. It's tough, but it's also a huge eye-opener to how important the little things are in life. And I look at it as a blessing, not a curse. And a lot of people tend to look at it the opposite, which is sad.
A huge eye-opener into the little things in life. Crystal, let me have you expand on that a moment. How has your experience with Mason caused you to look at those things anew?
Well, you tend to realize that things aren't skin deep. For instance, Mason's 6. When he was 4, about approximately, was the first time he ever built a black tower. That's something that a 1-year-old could do. But to my whole family, my 2 older boys, my husband, and myself, it was just this joyous occasion. We're celebrating over something that people would just look at us like we were crazy, like, why are you so excited? But it's the little things that keep you going, little things like that, such as that. And there's so much more to a person than what you can see once you can see past all they're not really, I guess, imperfections. And none of us are perfect, and there's so much more there.
What do you say to people who encounter you in the community as you attempt to deal with those imperfections, perhaps in ways that challenge you in a manner that many parents are not challenged in? How do you respond to the community response to your son?
I'm pretty, I just try to explain that he has autism and I'm doing the best I can. And, staring sometimes, I've actually come out and said staring doesn't help. It's it makes me a little more nervous as I'm trying to wrestle my wild child and, get him under control. But just work with me. And if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, pretty much.
And do people, once they understand the challenge that you face with a young child on the autism spectrum, are they more respectful? Does the staring stop? Do they become empathic to the challenges that you deal with?
Yeah, I've had many people, not many, a couple people, who've actually looked at me and apologized and said they were sorry, and if there's anything they could do, they'd be willing to help. But typically it does help. I think the best thing to do, though, is if you see a child acting out like that, you should never, ever jump to the conclusion that, oh, my gosh, that parent is just awful, they don't have control of their kids, even just a smile, in that situation makes me think that somebody else understands where I am and what I'm going through. And I already feel uncomfortable because he's throwing a fit, and it's hard. But just a smile goes a long way. Well,
and what you are both you and Julie are talking about is something presumptive, a presumption that we might make, seeing a child in a public situation not behaving appropriately and presuming that there's some failure in parenting or some failure in the proper education of the child, as opposed to just looking at this as something that happens and there may be a reason for it. So you want to just crack that door open a little bit among the listeners of this program.
Yes, definitely. And I guess now that I've lived it, I can look back and see how, people would think it was odd, but there's so much more than meets the eye in probably every situation. So I've learned really quickly not to judge or make assumptions.
Crystal Peelman, thank you very much for your candor in talking to me today. The next person I'm going to welcome to this microphone is Marcia Restivo, Operations Program Manager here at the Resource Center. She is responsible for a program called Success that is funded by the Step Up for Autism walk and other events that will be happening here on the 28th. Marcia, thank you for being patient as we listen to those stories so that we could get to your part of this program and the success.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here, Dennis. This is a great opportunity to talk about the Step Up for Autism walk and what that actually where the money goes and what happens with it. It's the Success program, the social skills program that we run here, isn't 100% funded by the Step Up for Autism walk and the funds that are raised with that. It's actually part of a family support services grant. But that grant, well, it pays for a lot of it. It doesn't capture everything. And we've been able to send a lot of folks who are kids that weren't meeting the eligibility requirements for the program through the program because of the generous donation from the Step Up for Autism walk.
What happens in the Success program? And we've heard from all of the speakers so far on this program today the unique challenges that someone on the autism spectrum can bring to a program like this. How do you deal with that variety, with these different things that you would like to have them improve at or become comfortable with?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Dennis. And I should probably back up a little and explain what the Success Social Skills program is. It's a 6-week intensive session where we work with the kids and we group the children together based on what is it that they need to work on. Is it engaging in conversation for the first time with a stranger? Is it turn taking? Is it asking about somebody else's interests? We do some screening ahead of time. We figure out where the strengths are and where they could use a little bit of brush up and some rehearsal. And then we group the kids. We work on the social stories. We work on sometimes it's even playing a game. So now it's your turn, and you lost, I'm sorry. And we work very closely with them through that. We use evidence-based curriculum also from Dr. Jed Baker and other sources. And there's a lot of material out there, but we really customize it for the group. And then they get to practice what they've learned out in the community and with each other.
So this is very intensive. Is it one or more than one person working with a child or an individual at a particular time?
We have a leader of the group who is making the curriculum, and then we have a facilitator that helps really make the sessions happen well. It's been a great program. What we keep hearing from all the parents and everyone who's participated is, why can't we do this all the time? They want more than 6 weeks, and we're really listening to that. And we actually it's kind of maybe early to talk about, but developing a way to bridge these groups into another program. So after that, they can continue getting together and building those foundations of social appropriateness with each other.
So you certainly want to build on your success, and you may take that any way that you want to, but it sounds like you've clearly, and this is a relatively new program in terms of years. You've only been at it a few years?
Just a few years, but it's not unique in the world. This is this technique of really rehearsing and practicing social skills. It's not, just something the Resource Center came up with.
It has proven effectiveness.
Absolutely. and it's been challenging in some ways, and it's been extremely rewarding. And we see this as an opportunity to really keep going and moving forward. So the funds that we get through the Autism Walk really spur that on. We get about $3,000 a year from the walk, and with that, a third to half goes to scholarships so kids can participate. The rest of the money we're putting into curriculums, and then we're working on, for 2014, we really want to engage the parents more, because as you know, every story we've heard today, and when people come to the walk on the 28th from 9 to 1, there will be other parents there, and everyone has a unique story, and the parents are really key in making these things consistently change, these social things, these, practicing and rehearsing, and they're also have to work with the schools to make sure that they're on the same page, and everyone needs to be working together.
Marcia, thank you for your time. You're eloquent in talking about these programs and the effort that you make. A quick moment for Tess Kersner here. I'll just slide down. Tess, if there's anything that you want to say new or reiterate about the Step Up for Autism event here on the 28th, I wanted to give you a moment before we close.
Yeah, we'd like to see everybody there, have the parents with typical kids meet the parents with kids with autism so that they can learn from the parents. And remember, too, that these children do learn from typical kids that are doing fine. And it's a great way to mix, learn, and have fun at the same time.
Steve Watterson joins us again. If you want to know more about the Step Up for Autism Walk and events, 661-1057 or stepupforautism.com. You have some final comments perhaps on this subject, and I know at least one other that you want to raise with us today, Steve, so I've saved these last minutes for you.
We do want to see as many people come down to participate in Step Up for Autism as possible. If you want to come down and just walk and join us, there's no charge to do that. If you want to get a T-shirt and have lunch, that's $20 or whatever you can afford. But we really just want to see as many people as possible down there. We're giving away a plaque this year to the school that has the most participation and raises the most money. So we're trying to get the schools involved. So we're hoping for a big event. And as you were talking to Crystal, I was thinking, it's that support network that's so, I think, important for families of children with autism. And Crystal and her husband Aaron and their whole family, they raise money every year for Step Up for Autism, and they do it online. And I get to see some of the comments that the family makes and their friends, and the support that they get, and the well wishes they have for Crystal and Aaron and for Mason is just really really heartwarming. So it's a great event.
On another subject.
Two other subjects. We have on Tuesday, September 24th, we're having our 6th annual educational conference here at Dunham Avenue. The topic this year is life after diagnosis. Life after diagnosis of somebody who has been diagnosed with a disability. We'll have some experts coming in, entertaining experts from across the region and nationally, and we'll have a panel presentation of some individuals here at the Resource Center who have their own different experience of having a disability. So if anyone's interested in attending the educational conference, they can give the Resource Center a call at 483-2344. The other thing I just want to let people know about is that the Resource Center, with all of the changes that are going on in terms of funding cuts, threats to funding, the way that services are going to be delivered to people with disabilities in the future, we're really trying to reach out and get more of the community engaged with us than ever before. So we're in preparation for a kind of a large-scale membership engagement campaign in March. We're doing a little trial run right now. It's kind of a United Way style campaign where we're looking for co-chairs for a bunch of different stakeholder groups and asking them to reach out and contact their peers and just kind of ask them, are they familiar with the Resource Center and what we do, and would they like to support us in some way or get to know more about us. So if you're out there listening, you get a call from somebody, you'll know what's going on.
Well, thank you very much for that. Look forward to expanding on all of those topics on future editions of this program, Share the Vision. But for today, thank you to Steve Watterson, Tess Kersner, Marcia Restivo, Julie McCarthy, and Crystal Peelman, all of you, for sharing the vision today.